Welcome to National Eyes. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. The world is watching, holding its breath. Every headline, every breaking news alert is met with a sense of mounting anxiety and anticipation. On October 7, 2025, Donald Trump's presidency faces a perfect storm. Crises at home and abroad threaten to upend the global order. The sense of urgency is palpable as the world braces for what could be a turning point in modern history. From the ruins of Gaza to the United Nations and the U.S. Supreme Court, a cascade of events has pushed his administration to the brink. Each institution, each city, reflects the mounting pressure and the far-reaching consequences of decisions made in the Oval Office. The stakes are historic. Decisions now will define Trump's legacy and could reshape American democracy for generations. The weight of history presses down as every move is scrutinized by both supporters and critics. Trump's confrontational leadership, tested by relentless diplomatic and legal turmoil, has left the U.S. isolated and its authority in question. Allies hesitate, adversaries watch closely, and the world wonders if American leadership can endure. His America First approach has alienated allies and emboldened adversaries, straining relationships that once seemed unbreakable and shifting the balance of power on the world stage. The result is a dangerous vacuum in global leadership, where uncertainty reigns and cooperation is harder to achieve. The crisis in Gaza, now in its third year, has become a symbol of international condemnation and U.S. isolation. Protests erupt worldwide, and America's moral authority is openly questioned. Simultaneously, unprecedented legal battles at home threaten the very foundation of the presidency. Courtrooms become battlegrounds, and the rule of law is tested as never before. Each crisis feeds the next, deepening uncertainty and raising the risk of global miscalculation. The world teeters on the edge as leaders scramble to prevent disaster. This is a moment of truth. Understanding its complexities is essential for anyone concerned about the future. The choices made now will echo for decades, shaping not just a presidency, but the fate of nations. To grasp today's crisis, we must look back. The Gaza conflict, erupting nearly 2 years ago, is the violent result of decades of tension, now marked by unprecedented destruction. Trump's return to the White House revived his pro-Israel America First doctrine, fueling a more aggressive Israeli strategy and deepening global divisions. His administration's skepticism of international agreements and alliances left traditional partners uncertain and the world order unstable. Domestically, Trump's narrow contentious 20,000 Narbor Kazan Stau 24 Victor Rinari only intensified polarization, with his rhetoric inflaming divisions and undermining trust in democratic institutions. America's internal strife has weakened its global standing, projecting instability and unreliability. Today's diplomatic isolation and constitutional challenges are the predictable outcomes of years of deliberate political strategy. The storm we face now is the result of long-building forces finally unleashed. The 79th UN General Assembly in September 2024 marked a turning point. Trump's speech dismissed climate change, attacked immigration, and questioned the UN's relevance, an open challenge to the post-war order. He framed international cooperation as a threat, demanding nations choose between his vision of sovereignty or globalist failure. This aggressive stance forced allies into opposing camps and paralyzed the UN, especially on Gaza. America's closest partners, caught between old alliances and Trump's attacks, scrambled to respond. The U.S. veto repeatedly blocked UN action, deepening the institution's crisis of relevance. Trump's strategy: weaken multilateral institutions, pressure countries bilaterally, and reshape the global landscape to fit his transactional approach. The result: a year of confrontation, alienation, and the erosion of the cooperative framework that once anchored global stability. The world saw America's leadership wane, and rivals moved to fill the void. Trump's assault on the UN extended beyond words. His administration weaponized the visa system, barring entire delegations from the Palestinian Authority, Iran, and even Colombia's president from the 2024 summit. These denials, seen as retaliation for criticism of U.S. policy, violated the spirit of the UN headquarters agreement and sparked outrage. The move created a logistical nightmare, fueling calls to relocate the UN to a more neutral site. America's role shifted from host to gatekeeper, silencing dissent and deepening mistrust. The result: a two-tiered UN, with access dictated by Washington's favor. This policy further damaged America's reputation as a champion of open dialogue and global cooperation. As the Gaza war raged and pressure mounted, Trump unveiled a new peace plan in late September 2025. The proposal called for a ceasefire, return of Israeli hostages, a halt to Israeli attacks on Qatar, and renewed dialogue. Trump claimed broad support, but Hamas denied receiving any formal offer, exposing the plan as more PR than substance. Critics saw it as a desperate attempt to shift the narrative amid Trump's legal troubles and international isolation. For Netanyahu, the plan offered a political lifeline, but little real change. The plan's focus on Qatar reflected Trump's transactional style, sidelining core issues like settlements in Jerusalem. By excluding meaningful Palestinian participation, the proposal repeated past mistakes. The Gaza gambit was high stakes, but built on shaky ground. Beneath the headlines, Gaza faces a humanitarian catastrophe that deepens with every passing day, largely invisible to the outside world. Nearly 2 years of war have left the territory in ruins, with relentless bombardment and a collapsing food and water supply. Basic infrastructure has been shattered, leaving families without safe shelter or access to clean water. Famine has claimed over 400 lives, including 145 children, as aid efforts fall far short of the need. Hospitals are overwhelmed, and many children suffer from preventable diseases due to malnutrition. The U.S. veto at the UN has blocked ceasefire resolutions and large-scale humanitarian relief, leaving the population trapped in a cycle of violence and deprivation. Occasional aid convoys, like Egypt's recent delivery, offer only brief respite for over 2 million people on the brink. Supplies are never enough, and desperation grows with each passing week. Humanitarian workers struggle to distribute aid amid destroyed infrastructure and ongoing violence, risking their lives to reach those in need. An entire generation grows up traumatized, malnourished, and without basic services. Their futures are shaped by loss, fear, and uncertainty. The destruction of homes, hospitals, and schools will take years and billions to repair, if it ever happens. The scars left behind are not just physical, but emotional and psychological as well. This suffering fuels anger and radicalization, making peace ever more elusive. The cycle of violence threatens to continue for generations. The world's failure to act is a moral stain, as real people pay the ultimate price. Each day that passes, more lives are lost and more hope is extinguished. The unseen cost of this conflict will haunt the region for decades, leaving wounds that may never fully heal. America's recent unilateralism and its controversial Gaza policy have fractured its alliances, accelerating a profound global realignment. Once seen as the indispensable nation, the U.S. now faces growing skepticism from both friends and rivals. Once the anchor of Western diplomacy, the U.S. now finds its leadership in tatters, its credibility questioned on the world stage. Allies who once looked to Washington for guidance now hesitate, uncertain of America's commitment to shared values. Key allies, frustrated by repeated U.S. vetoes and inaction, took the unprecedented step of recognizing Palestinian statehood in 2025, breaking with decades of protocol and sending a clear message of independence. The UK, France, and Canada signaled they would no longer wait for American leadership, forging their own path and reshaping the Western alliance in the process. As trust in the U.S. wanes, nations are seeking new partnerships and economic alliances, moving toward greater strategic autonomy and away from dollar dominance. Global trade patterns are shifting, and new centers of influence are emerging. The instability of Trump's policies is forcing a global economic rethink, with long-term consequences for American influence. Markets are volatile, and the world is recalibrating its economic future without relying solely on the U.S. The world is becoming more fragmented and multipolar, with China and Russia eager to fill the vacuum left by America's retreat. Their influence is growing, challenging the old order. America's isolation has weakened the collective power of democracies to address global challenges, making it harder to find common ground on urgent issues like climate change, security, and human rights. This is not a temporary rift, but a fundamental shift in the architecture of global power. The world is entering a new era, one defined by uncertainty and competing visions for the future. The era of unchallenged U.S. leadership is over, and a new, more complex global order is taking shape before our eyes. While Trump battles crises abroad, a constitutional storm rages at home. In early 2025, the Supreme Court heard arguments on whether Trump is barred from office under the 14th Amendment's insurrection clause, following efforts to remove him from state ballots. This is just one of many unprecedented legal challenges. Trump faces multiple indictments for conspiracy, mishandling classified documents, and business fraud. Each case threatens criminal conviction and deepens political instability. The judiciary is now in direct confrontation with the executive, testing the separation of powers and the rule of law. Trump and his allies attack the courts, framing the indictments as political persecution, further eroding public trust. The legal battles consume the administration, distracting from urgent national and global issues. America finds itself in uncharted territory, with its democratic norms facing their greatest test in modern history. The outcome remains uncertain, but the damage to the nation's institutions is already clear. We stand at a crossroads. The past year has shaken the pillars of the American Republic and the international order. Trump's confrontational leadership has left a trail of humanitarian disaster, fractured alliances, and weakened institutions. The challenges ahead are daunting, but crisis brings opportunity for reflection and change. We must ask, will America build walls or bridges, go it alone or work with allies, protect democracy or let it erode? This is a call to action, for civic engagement, accountability, and renewed commitment to democratic values. The future is unwritten. The path forward depends on the choices we make now. Staying informed and demanding integrity from our leaders is not optional. It's essential for a more peaceful, stable future.